Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Today I wanted to go over how the Kebos Lowland update has affected the old RuneScape market. Now this is not meant for investing advice or anything like that, it's just to have a look at what trends the items are taking and what has been affected either directly or indirectly. Anyway guys, hope you enjoy and let's get started. So first up here, I'm going to have a look at all of the new items. We got several of them. Let's order them via price right now. So we have the Direct Natural Lance, we have the Hydra Leather, the Brimstone Ring, the Hydra Tail being surprisingly expensive, the Bottomless Compost Bucket, and then it kind of just goes down from there. So to begin with here, let's have a look at the Dragon Hunter Lance. So after the release, the Dragon Hunter Lance has continuously been decreasing in price, with a short increase up to 130 mil. However, besides that, it has been pretty much continuously decreasing since the release. It's already less expensive than the Dragon Hunter Crossbow, even though it's only been out for a couple weeks. Now the problem here is the Dragon Hunter Lance is not the best in slot at the new content. It is still a very powerful item and will probably keep a decent amount of value, but currently there's only a few places that people are consistently using it, that being like Rune Dragons, the Chambers of Zarak. However, most of the dragon bosses are either A, easier to kill with the Dragon Hunter Crossbow, or B, the Twisted Bow. So it hasn't quite found its niche use yet. It may get changed in the future. I would expect this to go up in price eventually. Now, a very interesting one here is the Hydra Tail. Now, the Hydra Tail was set to pretty much crash down to ALC price because this is the item that is combined with the Dragon Bone Necklace as well as your Bone Crusher to create that kind of awkward item that you'd have in your inventory. Later on, they proposed it would go in your ammunition slot. However, now the new suggestion is to have it combined to create the Bone Whip. The Bone Whip would be non-degradable, and combining the two parts will consume the Hydra Tail. It would have stats just shy of halfway between the Standard Whip and the Tentacle Whip, and since this is now non-degradable, this would be the best in slot item. So because of that, the item went from around 800k and poised to go down to ALC price up to around 3 to 4 mil right now. However, even though this is a very obvious upgrade and a permanent upgrade, Hydra Tail is just coming to the game so quickly that the price probably won't ever be that high. A lot of people are killing Hydras and they are dropped from just the regular Hydra as well. It's interesting that we'll actually see a permanent upgrade to the Abyssal Whip. Okay, next up here we have the Hydra Leather. The Hydra Leather is used to make the Ferocious Gloves. I think it's going to continuously decrease in price as more people actually get the upgrade. Since this is pretty much just a one-off upgrade and most people will never need to buy another one again, I think it's going to continuously decrease in price as more people get it and more come into the game. So I'm going to wait a few more months and then maybe buy the upgrade for it. Now, probably the least traded rare new item is the Bottomless Compost Bucket. And there's a reason for that. Right now it's worth about 3.1 mil and it probably would not have that value if it wasn't extremely rare. Now the big problem here is it's not farmable, even though it is a plant boss. The problem is you have to wait a long time for the Hespori boss to grow, and after that you still need to get lucky at getting the drop from the boss. So you can only kill it ideally every day and a half, and that is assuming that you get a consistent supply of untradeable seeds from doing other farming tasks. So currently there's only 1 or 2 traded every hour. So I would say there's maybe like maximum around 100 to 200 of them in the game in total. This item is currently very rare and I don't really see it getting any less rare. Obviously more are going to come into the game, so the price could decrease a bit, but I think it's a very useful item and I think the price will stay consistently high just because of its rarity. Okay, and the last item I wanted to look at here is the new Mystic Duska Set. Now this item was kind of shoehorned in at the last minute to kind of buff up the rare drop table for Quinar, and it's just rare enough to have this Mystic Set be valuable, but it's pretty much just a fashionscape item. It has no inherent use in its own because you can get the exact same Mystic Robe Set for much cheaper, so it's only for people who want to look extra cool. So only about 4 or 5 traded an hour, so it's pretty rare, so I'd imagine the price would not change that much. Okay, so now I'm gonna have a quick look at some items that have been affected by the Kebos Lowland update. Now, a really big one is Blood Runes. Now, Blood Runes and Soul Runes are both dropped pretty consistently by the new monsters. Both the Alchemical Hydra, the Drakes, and the new Worms drop a lot of Soul Runes, Blood Runes, and Nature Runes. Now, interestingly, the Blood Rune has crashed by quite a bit. It went from 340 to 350, all the way down to 250, a pretty severe decrease in price. However, if we have a look at the Soul Rune, it has not crashed nearly as much. It went from maybe 148 down to 139 or something like that, only a 10 GP decrease. And likewise, the Nature Rune really hasn't changed much in price. Next up here, a pretty large category of items that are crashing because of the Kebos Lowland, or more specifically the Farming Guild, are tree seeds. Now interestingly, some of them are crashing and some of them are not. So let's have a look here at the palm tree seed. So up until January 10th, it was around 63k and dropped down to 50k. Now, if we compare that to the U seed, which around January 10th started increasing in price all the way up to 113k is what it's valued at now. Now, my best guess is this has to do with the farming contracts. Most likely, palm tree seeds are not assigned as a farming contract nearly as much as they are given as a reward. Likewise, the yew seeds are probably given as a reward more than they are given as a farming contract assignment. However, this could also be due to other outside factors as well. However, magic seeds are also increasing in price by a fairly significant amount, going from 140k around the update up to 180k now. However, when we look at a more long-term view, it looks more like kind of just a correction. On January 10th, with the Kebos Lowland update, was the lowest the magic seed has been at the entire year. Now we're going to start a monthly segment called Robin's Failed Investments. Now here are the 3 items that I invested in. Now I didn't lose a ton of money on them, but it ended up being quite a bit of a waste of time. So I invested in the Zamorakian Hasta, the Holy Sandal, and the Dragon Bow necklace, along with like half of every other person in the game. Now these were the 3 probably most obvious investments, and I now kind of realize why this wasn't really a good idea. Now I bought the Zamorakian Hastas for I think around 14 mil, and they ended up selling them around here for 12 mil. So I lost about 2 mil on each one, so it was not a good investment. Now I, like quite a lot of other people, were banking on the Dragon Ender Lance being extremely valuable. Now there's kind of one flaw here, and that is that the Zamorakian Hasta is kind of actually farmable because it's dropped from a boss, which means that there's actually quite a lot of Zamorakian Hastas in the game already before the update came out. Which means the supply of Zamorakian Hastas would never meet the supply of Hydra Claws coming into the game, as the Hydra Claw is actually going to be a little bit rarer. On top of that, the price of the Zamorakian Hasta was already extremely inflated from people merching them. We can see back from September is kind of where the baseline price was, and as soon as more information on the Kebos Lowland was released, we can see it went from around 8 mil up to about 20 mil or 21 mil at its peak. So I made 2 mistakes. A was not buying as soon as I learned of the Kebos Lowland and it requiring the Zamorakian Hasta, and B, not really thinking critically on how that price would actually be affected by the new item. Now the 2 safer bets here were the Holy Sandals and the Dragon Bow necklace. Now I bought them both for dirt cheap, so I actually made a bit of money on these ones. The Holy Sandals I really thought would actually be worth more after the update because they are a clue scroll item, and they'd be performing with a new item to make the new best in slot prayer boots. However, currently the price is only worth 800k, pretty much what they were worth before, so not a very noticeable change there. And the Dragon Bow necklace is still just kind of generally a flawed idea. Even with the new Bone Crusher necklace, it didn't really increase the price at all. The only time it really was valuable is before the update when people were trying to merch them. So maybe next time I'll just merch off of the mercher and not even try to think about which direction the price is even going to take. And last up here, I want to look at a few more existing items that have had their price change pretty drastically. To begin with here, the Dragon Sword, it went from around 1.5 mil down to 280k currently. Now this is probably a more accurate reflection of its price. Before it was only expensive because it was a Raids 1 reward and was rare enough to keep that value. Same thing with the Dragon Harpoon, it's worth around 1.7 mil down from around 6 mil. Same thing for the Dragon Throne Axe, it went from around 4k to 6k each down to 800 is the current price. In the last market video I made, I was trying to determine whether Snape Grass would become more rare or less rare with the Farming Guild update, and it turns out it has become more rare. Even though it's now a farmable herb, they removed it from every other source in the game, barring picking it up off the ground, and it's actually decreased the amount traded per day. Before we were getting somewhere between 1 million to 2 million even, and now we're down to like 400k to 900k. And the exact same thing happened for Potato Cactus. Before the update, we're getting them around 100k to 300k, and now we're down to even like 24k one day or 100k. Very low in comparison. So when, oh when, is the price of bonds going to go up again? They've been low for quite a while. They're at about 2.8 mil right now, which is still extremely cheap. If we have a look at the entire year graph for this year, that is pretty drastically different than the previous year. So if we imagine before here, the prices of bonds were around like 4 mil if I recall correctly, or 4.5 mil. They're very expensive coming up to Christmas. They crashed down right after Christmas around January, which is true, and then they kind of rose up all year. However, this year we had a few other outside factors, and that is mainly the release of mobile. We can see the kind of normal trend here is that in January the prices are low. They kind of raise up towards the summer. Around August or July they tend to drop in price because a lot more kids are getting out of school, stealing their mom's credit card and buying more bonds. And then normally from here it would continuously raise up until Christmas and it would crash. However, here around the release of mobile, which is the end of October, it crashed already. It crashed down to like 3.2 mil in December, where last year was around 4.5 mil. So I'm really interested to see what is going to happen this year. It's possible the price never raises up because so many people playing mobile are buying bonds. So I'm really interested to see what direction bonds will go this year. And the last thing I want to highlight here is high-end ranged gear is going up by quite a lot recently. Ranged is the default best gear to kill most bosses with, and that holds true with the new alchemical Hydra. The blowpipe is up from 4.5 mil to 6 mil at its peak in the last month. That's because it's a very cost-effective mid-range weapon to take to the alchemical Hydra. Same thing with the twisted bow around the 10th. It's gone up from around 1.06 mil up to around 1144 mil right now. Pretty much consistently across the board, high-level PVM ranged gear is going up pretty consistently just because of how good it is at the new boss. Anyway guys, that is it for the market update. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave the video a like, and I will see you next time.